Okay, so Telehouse, you fairly recently launched your liquid cooling lab. So it'd just be good to understand a bit of the background as to what it is and where it is. Yeah, the thinking behind it, I guess.
Yeah, I think the simple answer to the where is it? It's in our Telehouse South data center, which is our latest building, which we opened in 22, and then we bought another couple of floors online last year. But it's in the former Thomson Reuters building, if you like. The rationale behind it was really that we are seeing a fairly big shift in moves towards HPC, which obviously includes AI and other technologies that driving higher densities in demand in our co-location facility. So what we were looking to do was create an environment where customers or potential customers could come and test potential solutions in the high density arena in a kind of risk-free type of environment, if you like. And then we would work with a number of technology players or a number of HPC type providers to help provide those solutions. So really in that shift as it's moving up and up in terms of densities, and potentially some of the requirements are moving away from the traditional more air-cooled data center cooling environments into the more liquid cooled. So really a step into that to enable our customers to do some testing in that kind of risk-free environment while they evaluate their solutions. Because I don't know what you're saying, but I think a lot of customers and prospects and companies are really unsure of what the options are and what's the best fit for them, if you like. So we've put together a number of scenarios, and each of the players, which I'm sure we'll talk about, offers kind of a slightly different take and kind of unique solution, if you like. So that was the whole rationale behind it, if you like.
Yeah, so you form partnerships, I think, at least at the moment, with Accelsius, EkkoSense, JetCool, and Legrand, who all have
Yep.
slightly different sort of
Yep.
ways into this sort of high density environment. I guess it'd be good to understand again how you chose those. I mean, did you evaluate a whole load of folks, or was this the sort of first few you've got? Yeah, just that how those ones came to be selected, I suppose, if you can share those details.
Yeah, I think EkkoSense is slightly different because we've been working with EkkoSense for a long time now, and they're obviously the software part or the monitoring part of the whole solution. So EkkoSense was a no-brainer for us. We've got a great relationship with those guys, and they already do some stuff in our existing estate. So that was fairly straightforward. I think then we didn't evaluate a whole heap of solutions, but what we did is we wanted to create a variety of solutions. So we've got two direct-to-chip solutions, one for single phase and one for two phase, and then obviously we've got the rear door heat exchange solution as well, which is through Legrand. So we wanted to give a variety of solutions. And I think that the key criteria for us were we could see the customer demand, so where we could see a kind of customer use case, if you like. I think the ability to fit into a co-location environment fairly seamlessly, and also an ability really not for a huge amount of re-engineering from our perspective to get the solutions up and running. So I say we didn't do a whole heap of them, but we did do a number of them, and these were the guys I guess that fitted those criteria, but also, you know, from a relationship point of view, were very keen to work with us, and they saw the kind of symbiotic relationship in them working with us as well.
Okay, so if we can perhaps just talk briefly about each of them in terms of what it is that they are doing in the space. So I'd start with Accelsius. I think they're a liquid cooling, but I know there are different flavors, shall we say, of liquid cooling. So what is it that they do?
So Accelsius are they're the kind of two-phase direct-to-chip organization. So we see the opportunity for them as at that kind of that real HPC level, which obviously incorporates AI, so the higher densities, and they do their heat dissipation through some sort of dielectric fluid. So they're right at the top end in terms of the densities. And again, you know, they were very easy to work with. They're very keen to partner with us, and again provide that kind of top end solution, if you like. And on the second part of the direct to chip, we do through a company called JetCool, which again is single phase rather than two phase, and that's really aimed at customers that really that doesn't need to be a huge amount of re-engineering or replumbing into the data center environment, but at the same time does give them that ability to move up the kind of density graph, if you like.
Okay.
And the last one, sorry, yeah.
No, Karen, I was going to say that then we've come to Legrand, so yeah.
Yeah, Legrand, which is really is the rear door heat exchange kind of solution, and I guess really from our point of view, I think we think that's the next step from air cooling into rear door heat exchange, and I think the reason for that is it really means that the customers don't have to really reconfigure their server environments just because of the technology there. So and again, really easy to deal with, really keen to work with Telehouse, and again, so fairly straightforward from our point of view.
And EkkoSense, as you say, you've obviously had a long-standing relationship with them. What is it in particular, if you like, that they can contribute to this sort of high density, high performance compute space?
So they provide the software or the AI that enables customers and us as well to monitor performance, and then to make changes or in capacity and through their kind of algorithms in their products. And as I say, we worked with them for many years before. They do a lot of work for us in terms of making sure we're doing all the right stuff in whole data floors. I don't know if you remember back the heat wave. Was it 2022 when we had that ridiculously hot day in July? They did a lot of work with us to make sure that we were getting the right amount of cooling in the right part of the data hall. So we're just really expanding that relationship, if you like.
Okay, and as you said, obviously the overall objective is to help customers sort of educate them and understand their options when it comes to this sort of new high density AI sort of application. It'd be good to understand, I suppose. I know it's early days, but what's been the reception, the feedback from customers?
Yeah, it's been good, and I think we're seeing some good take up. When we do our data centers tours now, we're kind of using that lab as part of the data center tour, and I think a lot of customers, as I may have said earlier, are really, they're trying to pull everything together and work out what is the right solution for them. So creating an environment where it's kind of risk-free and they can test in a fairly safe environment. It's been really well received so far. And whilst it's still in its early days, I expect us to see more and more of that as the market continues to evolve and change. I think we think that we still see a huge amount of kind of the traditional demand, if you like, which is 10, 12 kilowatts. But there is definitely a shift in terms of what customers need, particularly at the enterprise level. But the enterprise level are the ones that are really not struggling, but really trying to understand what the different options are. So I think it has certainly been well received. I think we're keen to get as many people in there as possible. And of course, from a Telehouse point of view, our view is we want to display that we understand that the market is evolving. We understand that we as an organization need to evolve and change to keep up with market demand. And we need to create solutions that solve problems for customers in the future. And Telehouse South is a data center that will still be attracting customers, I think, in 3 or 4 years' time. And then obviously we've got projects to build new buildings after that, which are really going to fit into that sweet spot, if you like. So it is driven by customer demand, but it's also driven by our demand to keep up to date with what customers require. And this industry is only 35 years old, but the amount of changes we've seen, and here comes another one, right? So.
Yeah. And in terms, I mean, are you any plans to add other folks, or is this a good sort of representative sample of the types of things people need to look at? And I guess the supplementary question would be, if you have a customer who maybe, kicks the tires on some of these, but then has a preferred supplier, somebody else, are you able to bring them in, just how it works, I guess, moving forward for folks?
That's a great question. I think we are keen to get the 3 solutions plus EkkoSense working today and making sure that they are right. We are absolutely open to adding new customers into the lab if they want to do it and if it makes sense and if it offers another variety of solution. I think that the whole question about who drives the demand and the technology is going to be a really interesting one moving forward. So to your question, if a customer comes to us and says, well, we want to do rear door heat exchange, but we want to use XYZ provider, then absolutely we'll look at doing that. But I think the focus in the short term, Phil, is making sure we get this right, that our customers really get some value out of it, and then we'll potentially look to add new partners. But the door is always open. We'll always answer the calls, and we'll always speak to companies that want to kind of come and use the lab as a facility.
Okay, so it's busy start to the year, and you mentioned a few months ago that plans obviously to carry on the expanding, shall we say? But in terms of the roadmap, are there any specifics or any the general direction of travel? What else is going to keep you busy, shall we say, for the next 12 months, if there's anything?
So I think we last autumn we bought on 5.5 or 5.4 megawatts in south, and we've probably sold about 1 megawatt of that so far. The plan is to obviously continue that, and then we're going to roll out the next 2 floors, which is floors 5 and 4, and that will bring another 5.4 megawatts online in, I guess, around 12, 13 months, something like that. So it's just a case of fitting out the white space when the demand comes through. I think we have seen a big uptick really in the beginning of this year, 2025. There's been a real increase in demand, not just for the HPC AI stuff that we've been talking about, but also for more traditional type densities as well. So there's definitely an uptick in demand, and we're seeing a lot more inquiries and a lot more interest in Telehouse, which is great for us. And the other thing that kind of we're really focused on is around really driving our ESG strategy, and more than our strategy are actually our actions. So as you know, we have kind of 35-year-old data centers. So we're doing a lot of work around doing some retrofit work in those to make sure they come up to the required standard. And we can't announce it yet, but we're about to announce something very exciting that we're going to do in terms of how we procure our energy in the next month or so. So that's really interesting and really exciting, and really enhances our ESG credentials. I think, as an industry, you get a bit of a bad rap sometimes. So some of the stuff we're trying to do is really, really push the envelope on that, and some of the stuff we're doing. And the last bit we're really pushing is around our kind of social responsibility. I think we sit in London Borough of Tower Hamlets, which is a fairly deprived kind of borough in terms of London standards. So we're trying to do a lot of work with the people around us. We do a lot of work with 2 local charities. We actually had a charity gala last week where we had a lot of our customers, suppliers, and partners at. So that whole ESG piece is, as well as driving and fulfilling demand, is really, really front of mind at the moment. But yeah, huge amounts going on. It's a really exciting time, actually. I think it's really good time for not just Telehouse, but to the whole data center industry, I think.
Yeah, and just maybe finally, I mean, as a company and where you are, it sounds as if you're very comfortable. You've identified where you want to be with the industry, so you're not tempted. You're looking at these sort of gigawatt sort of factories that are being built, or on the other end of the scale, the sort of the rollout of the edge seems to be finally maybe coming to fruition. You're happy where you're playing. No plans to sort of go in any other directions like that.
Yeah, I think happy maybe pushing it a little bit. I think we are, there is a huge amount of investment in, as you say, these massive data centers, and actually there's a couple of those on our doorstep with the ones around the Docklands, around ADA infrastructure and KO. So we are cognizant of that, but I think that's not our bread and butter. That's not what our customers know us for. They know us for interconnection, so connecting to CDNs, to service providers, to internet exchanges, and they still want us to keep growing. So our focus is very much on expanding our Docklands campus. As I say, we're rolling out 5. We've got another building coming on in 2028, and I think that's very much the focus. In terms of other edge and moving out of Docklands, I don't think we can be all things to all people. So very much focused on what we're good at. So, but aware that the market is shifting, aware that there are these gigawatt deployments, and we have to make sure, as I said earlier, we have to remain relevant to our customers. So we're watching that space, but as I say, the demand is continuing to go up in our kind of retail space, if you like. So that's 8-10 kilowatts a rack, 10-20 cabinets. That's pretty much our sweet spot, rather than those kind of monsters that you see elsewhere.
That's great. I mean, it's been lovely to catch up with you and understand a little bit about this initiative and more generally what's going on at Telehouse. And Mark, really appreciate your time. Thanks.
That's always good to speak, Phil. If you need anything, don't hesitate to reach out, but good to see you. Hopefully catch up with you again soon.
Thanks again. Thank you.
All the best. Take care.